All right, Lynette's joining us. Perfect. All right, Gina, I will let you run with it.
Okay, awesome. We'll have a lot to go through. And typically how I do these classes too, I allow them to be interactive. So if you guys have questions or anything like that, please definitely ask away. Hannah, can you enable me to do a screen share?
Yes, let's.
Technically how we have this class set up too, it's actually two of my classes combined into one. So I tried to hone it down to the most important specifics. So we'll go with that. And like I said, if you guys have questions, I'm an open book. All right. All right, does everyone see this okay?
Yes.
Perfect. All right. Well, welcome to my class. This is the first time teaching on transaction management systems and transaction coordinating with the firm. And I'm super excited to be here as an agent that gets to provide classes like this to you. And we'll just dive in. I don't know what happened to my little guy. There should be a picture of me. My name is Gina. If for any of you guys that don't know me, I am the Plant Lady Realtor on Instagram. And I've lived in Arizona for a little bit over 18 years and have a couple degrees. I would say I'm an overqualified agent, but we don't like to tell people that. And my passions really are in real estate. And so I started in home staging, just to give you a little bit of a background about me. And within home staging, I got into real estate. So I started in luxury, which is where I actually met Hannah, and then quickly jumped into working for investors. So when I worked for investors, that's when I was really propelled into the world of transaction coordinating. So I've been doing that for a little over 5 years now. I've done it in multiple different scales, whether that's with teams, investors, solo agents, and even running it on my own as my own business. So I do train and mentor new TCs via any one-on-one coaching, group coaching, or even through my e-course. So this is the platform that I have built as a prelude to my course to help people get an idea of what transaction coordinating is and how to even manage their files. So it's a really good, well-rounded course for agents or non-licensed professionals. So I like to do a little bit of a survey. I know we're not in person, but this is really for anybody who's either new to real estate, if you're a student, or if you are currently an agent and you have been an experienced agent and you're looking for new systems to implement within your business. I'm very transparent about that. I will talk about every little step that's going to help you really hone in on your skills as an agent, or even as somebody who's looking to build that TC spectrum or that field of work. How many of you guys, I don't know if you want to raise your hand or give me a thumbs up, manage your own paperwork and files? Okay. So, and does anybody currently use a TC?
No, I don't.
No. Okay.
I'll jump in here. So I personally, I've been licensed going on 9 years, and I am one of those typical, I think a lot of us as real estate agents are, but I am a type A control freak, and also very cheap. So I didn't really want to invest in a TC, and also didn't think that they could do a better job than I could, or wouldn't be as efficient as I could. I'm like, oh, I'll just do it faster than they will anyway, and I'll just save the money. So I didn't start using a TC until literally 7 years into my career. And when I did finally start using a TC, which was when I was so over inundated with work that I literally could not take on any more work, it was the best move I possibly made in my career. And it was able to literally 10x my business. And that is with a good TC, right? You do need a really amazing TC on your side, and it can make all the difference in the world, because your best use of time is not doing paperwork. Your best use of time is going and building those relationships, getting new clients, and closing more deals, and offboarding your rockstar TC on doing that lower dollar per hour stuff, so you can go do what you do best and continue to work with your clients. So it was an amazing thing. I really regret not doing that sooner and having an amazing TC on your side is definitely something that you should look into sooner rather than later if that's something you're struggling with offboarding in your business.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Hannah. That is a testimony I hear from really good agents and producing agents, is they wish they did it sooner, and that's what we're here for, especially when you want to grow your business. All right, perfect. So we'll go over just some class goals, and then anything that we miss, or if you want to have any topic that to be elaborated on towards the end of this little discussion, we'll just go and dive into it. So we're going to talk about transaction management systems first. So we're going to look at building your transaction files, sending out documents for signatures and things like that, that really hone in on your management flow on how you're currently working on your files. I will touch on Skyslope. I feel like probably all of us here work through Skyslope. If you're with the firm, that's what we use. And then if you're with other brokerages, just let me know if you use a different platform. I've worked in about 4 different platforms. So I mean, the transaction management system is pretty much the same across the board. Just depends on what your system is. DigiSign Forms and Breeze are all products that are used within Skyslope. I like to think and work a little bit smarter than harder. So I like to utilize everything within Skyslope, since it's a resource that I currently use or that we can currently use as agents. And then just transaction coordinating, we'll touch on that. How can you find the right TC partner, or even create your own TC business with ease, and kind of introducing you into that space. All right. So becoming the transaction management professional. So the reason why I talk a lot about Skyslope is if it's a resource that you are currently using, it's an all-in-one platform. So you're able to use your document management, your file creation, your signings, and that's also obviously where our broker compliance resides. If we are in a platform that, if you're in a brokerage that does not utilize Skyslope, that's totally fine. I am well versed in transaction desk in terms of just management systems. I know years ago we all started in zip forms. If you've been in the business longer than 5 years, you know what zip forms is. We started in zip forms. It was super archaic. It was like the Craigslist of forms. And then they eventually transitioned us out of that and into transaction desk. That rocked everyone's world, and everyone freaked out for a moment. And then they kind of worked to make it a little bit better. It is more user-friendly now than ever before, so I won't hate on it too much. But typically, I'm a big fan of Skyslope. And they just keep improving and impressing me more in terms of how I'm managing my files. All signing systems are the same. How you manage your files can be the same throughout whichever brokerage you're at or across the board. So that's really fun to work through that space. Does anybody not use Skyslope? If you want to give me a little hand. Okay. Emily, what do you know what platform you use?
We use more transaction desk. I mean, sorry, what is it called? Transaction desk.
For your signings?
Yeah.
You know which brokerage, like which brokerage are you with?
Equity Realty.
Okay, perfect. And do you know what systems they use on their back end for broker compliance?
Paperless.
Okay.
I'm not sure what's called. I know it's transaction desk. That's how it comes up, but
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
That sounds good. I'll touch on transaction desk for you, and if you have questions, you're welcome to ask as we go through that.
Okay.
Thank you. Perfect. So let's just move on. We're going to go and talk about your workflow. So I always say establish your file flow. This is something that you can always improve on. Like Hannah said, transaction coordinators are really helpful to utilize in this element of your work and your business. I think that's where we are valuable in saving your time, because the flow takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of work. So we want to basically hone into, how do you work best? Are you a paper file person? Do you have to write things out to remember anything in person? I'm like that. I have a little checklist. I write something down because I'm a didactic. I'm a very tactical person. So if I write it down, I remember it. And then I go through and I'll figure out my systems on reminders. So that's where I use Google Calendar. Do you work best in technology? I have some agents that are like, I want everything on my phone. I want everything to ding at me and all of that. That's great. Gives me an eye twitch. But if that's where you work best, either as an agent or as a TC, find out the system that's going to work for you. So you can start small, you can start free. Google Sheets, Trello, it has a free platform. Actually, through my e-course, I have a built out Trello template that will be live and active in end of December, actually. And that's like a platform, a checklist that you can use as well. Anybody can use it. It'll be something that you can just ask me for. I share it with you. It's a template. Asana is also a free program that's offered by Google. That is a checklist platform. And then there are other TC systems that agents can even utilize that work with that workflow to help you. It's actually, one's called TC Workflow and one I think is called Pre-Flow or Pre-Close. But yes, determining if you are a paper person or if you are a digital person or a combination of both, that's going to help you find your system. And I always say, if you could do both, great. We can rely on technology only so much, because if we're on the go and we need something in hand, it's always helpful to have some information that's just already available to you, whether it's in a notebook or just a checklist. You have both options wherever you are, because then you don't have the excuse to your clients of, oh, I don't have the information in front of me. So going through your paperwork flow, that's something I always say, if it's top of mind, get it done. So for example, if you are working with your buyers or renters, make sure you get your buyer brokers completed. If you're working with that, get your agency disclosure signed. If you have advisories, make sure your clients have advisories in their hand on time and signed, because then that's something that you can take and file away or keep it on hand and save it until you open a file, because that's something that they need to have up front as clients, just so that they have the available advisories, essentially the disclosures that they need in order to move forward within your relationship. And as on the paperwork standpoint, then you know that part is done. That part that matters the most, that you need to take the time with your client, is done. And then the second part really is uploading those documents. So whether you're working on a listing file or a purchase file, getting all of those documents in on a timely manner will be in accordance of how you work through your flow. So, you know, making sure you know exactly what you're doing. I'll show you a couple examples of a workflow checklist that I have set up. So if you are a newer agent and you want to know what to do and what triggers what, we can have a checklist that you can work alongside. And this checklist can be translated entirely into a digital platform that's going to ding you and remind you, whether that's you know, through any system that you decide to use. For example, I've used Trello. So I think I did have a question. No, just creating. Oh, so I have a couple notes. So the transaction flow checklist is something I'll show you in a minute. And then I always say, when you're working through signings and e-signings, try to master one, but know both. So a lot of people, if say Skyslope is down for maintenance and you need to get a contract out and signed, still have access to Transaction Desk or another signing platform that you're going to be able to find your documents, get things signed, and work through that. They all work very similarly. It's not like you're needing to relearn an entirely new system. So just keep in mind, make sure you have your logins available, that you can work in both platforms so that you're not, you know, at a loss at all. And then that'll just be super helpful. Another thing too, for when you're managing your files and your paperwork flow, is really work on creating like automated processes, such as creating email templates and things like that. That's really going to help you hone in on your, you know, your communication. So if you have those templates already created, you can then actually know exactly what you're saying and when. So I wanted to show you guys a couple examples of the checklist that I worked through. Again, I've been doing this for over 5 years. I try to work as simple as possible, but in the best way that I know is going to help me be the better TC and the better agent for my clients. So I just work off of one piece of paper. that's it. I mean, I'm very, it's just one thing and you can actually turn this into a workable document, but I just have one full checklist. So this is an example of a seller or a listing checklist that says all of the information and critical dates that I need to have when I'm working through my files. And this is also my listing checklist. I even put in there my listing details. So everything's on one page, front and back, and I actually keep it in just a little file folder, and I can take this anywhere. Now, that might not seem doable for some people because they maybe don't have that luxury of printing all that stuff or whatever, but it's literally one document. I'm a visual person, so when I'm working on my computer and working in systems, I want to just have that little checklist right in front of me, and I know exactly what I need to do. The more I see it, the more I remember it, and it's the flow that I use when I'm going through my files. So these details are all critical. So if anybody needs a date, a time, a reminder, whatever it is, I just put everything on here. And then anytime I have that important date coming up, I put a reminder in my calendar and we just move on with life. So that's my system. I like it. I've been using it for a while. I've tried converting this into an online platform for myself, and it just didn't work as well as what I've been using here. And I mentioned before, use both. So if you're able to have more than one reminder, that's okay, because then you're consistently being top of mind of what you're doing. Something that I use alongside, so when I'm training TCs or training new agents, I also provide, this is the workflow checklist. Like my little view box is in the way. I'm gonna minimize it. Okay, so my view box, my flow is here, so I can use this alongside with a checklist if you're learning how to go through everything as an agent or a TC. So it goes from pre-listing. What do you need to do to get the property listed? Where are your files? What emails need to be sent? What do you need to do? And then all the way through that listing checklist and what happens when you open escrow. I have an inspection period flow. So this is literally the flow that I use to go through my transaction. And this one's for the listing and the seller. And I also have one for a buyer or a purchase. These are just things that I use to keep me accountable. And when you're learning new systems, it keeps you top of mind for what you're doing. I think that's important because it's easy for us to be a little scatterbrained when it comes to what are we doing, why are we doing it? And I think it's important for us to just have those systems already in place. And again, you can recreate your system whenever you want. For ending a new year, try to find that time, since we're in such a little bit of a quiet time, find that time to build up that new system that's going to help you get more clients and be more efficient with your clients moving forward. That client can be an actual buyer seller client. That client can be an agent client for a TC. So templates are what I work through a lot. And again, I mentioned automating systems. So something here, how to leverage working docs. If you do work within Skyslope, I'm just going to bring this up, like mention it really quickly. It's a platform that working documents is basically an app within Skyslope that you can upload pre-saved documents. I have some agents that I work with on the TC side that like to have their documents pre-signed, and then I can go through, upload those documents and apply them to certain files that are needed. So whether their clients need to sign it or anything like that, I know that they have their template set up. I can go in and actually maneuver through that. So I'm going to show you an example of what that looks like really quick. Okay. There's like too many little buttons here. Thank you for your patience.
So Gina, real quick in the chat, a couple of Dana and Lynette said they love the checklist. Is there any way that they can get, or that the group can get those? Are you willing to share those? Or
yes. Yeah, thank you. Yes, I will be sharing these for you guys.
Awesome.
So I'm going to show you just an example of an agent, Skyslope. So this is from an agent I previously worked with. when I was at my other brokerage, but so she works in commercial, so everything looks a little bit differently, but Skyslope's the same way. So this is where you find the working documents. I know that I don't know if any brokerage that works within this system can utilize this. And this is where you can actually upload personal documents, which is where you can actually upload pre-completed documents for either yourself or your TC. So if you have a listing template for your listing agreement, you have it already pre-planned out and you work pretty similarly with every client, you can just upload that and have that as a sample for the future for the future transaction or for your future transaction with the TC. Another thing too is office documents. So a lot of brokerages, if you work through this platform, will actually upload their documents in here for you to download and have access to. It's almost like a cloud-based platform, but when you're going in here, you know it's already here and you can have that. Some brokerages have back offices too, where they have this information already uploaded. But again, it's a universal platform where you can actually upload documents much like a Google Drive and actually get the information that you need anywhere you are, whether you're on your laptop, your iPad, or your phone. You can still pull up this information to use for future use on your transaction paperwork. Now, if you don't work within Skyslope, you could still create files and systems within Transaction Desk that work similarly, except this is more of like a universal broker-wide platform that could also be used for that or personal. A lot of people don't realize this is here. That's the reason why I bring it up. And it's a really neat platform to use if you're working on playing around. I just zoomed in and I don't know why. Okay. So let's go into my next point. Anybody have questions on working docs? Is it something that you would like to use?
I had no clue that was even there.
Yeah.
And I've used Skyslope quite a bit recently, but I don't remember that in the training either. So
Okay.
I'm taking that away. Thank you.
Good. Okay. I'll dive into Transaction Desk really quick just to show you an overview of what it looks like. I don't use it too much. Like I said, anytime I use Transaction Desk, it's for like an oh crap moment because Skyslope went down on me. Okay, so Transaction Desk is a management system, same as Skyslope, but Skyslope has a bigger umbrella where it's the platform the brokerage uses for compliance. Okay, so agent dashboards on Transaction Desk are super easy to use. You can actually access Transaction Desk one of two ways: through your MLS. You can log in through that way. You just need your NERDS ID number and the password. And I've also created it where I can access it on the website end, so I don't have to necessarily go into Armless or MLS just to get in there. So for here, super easy. Again, you're creating a transaction, and I didn't show you the backend signing system quite yet on Skyslope, but it's going to be similar where you create a transaction and that actually goes in and creates a file. So I have some files I'll just show you really quick. So this is a buyer test file. Another thing when it comes to automating your systems, and I can go into this if you guys request, but something that I teach a lot on is creating your file templates within your systems. So in Transaction Desk and in Skyslope, you can create file templates. Has anyone not created file templates in their systems?
I want to say I haven't, maybe. I mean, I've created transactions in Transaction Desk and Skyslope, so I'm not too sure I understand what you mean by files, so probably not.
Okay, yeah, so you can create a lot of templates, and I'll show you really quickly in Transaction Desk, and then I'll switch over to Skyslope. So again, you want to automate as many systems as possible in order for you to be a well-oiled machine. So in this, you just click on the little gear and they have transaction templates here. I help a lot of agents build these out for whatever files they need as a TC, but this is where you can actually create your little, it's not a checklist, it's where you find your documents and forms. So this is an old one, but this is where you have every document you'll ever need for a particular file. So a lot of people who will go on to their brokerage will be like, oh, I have a transaction now, but I forget what documents I need. I don't even know what I need to upload. Where you can go into your transaction templates, you'll have everything and then some, because it's always going to have a little bit extra. You never know what you're going to need. And then you can complete which files you need and move on with your life. That's how you can actually start up your file. So the templates are your basis. And then when you're creating an actual file, you can assign that template to the file. It auto-populates everything over there. And then you can work out of it for that file. So the template is your basis. Like, you're not editing this unless it needs to be automated. So for example, I clicked into the agency disclosure. I can automate this where I put in my brokerage, I can put my name, and then I can come down here and check off what I need to. I believe this was a seller one, so I'll check off what I need to. And then that's it. So that will be saved as my templated version for this document to be used going forward. And then I can just go back out. That will save. And then I know that that's completed. You can also upload other documents. So almost every brokerage is going to have an affiliated business disclosure. If that's the case, upload that. So you'll know that's also one of the documents that will filter over when you're creating a file. So we'll do a test really quick. And then it's literally almost the same exact thing when we work in Skyslope. And I'll show you that, because if you haven't done it, it'll be really important for you to do to help give you some peace of mind. So we're going to do a seller test file. You can name it anything you want. And this is where we'll assign our template. Obviously, you can add any information you need that is related. I always try to think a little bit on the less is more side when it comes to adding stuff into here, because I'm truly not working out of this as my checklist. I have my own system, but you can work out of it as a checklist. So we're going to go into forms. Forms is our documents for all of our transaction documents. So I'm going to just show you that these were all the documents that I had in the template. It transferred over. Things can be modified and updated. If you are in your templates and a document has been updated, so say the Department of Real Estate updated the agency disclosure, it will notify you that the document is out of date and that you need to upload a new one. And to upload a new one, all you have to do is delete the old one, go into add form, and upload a new one. So when you add the form, you just go into here, you can search it. So say solar went out of date. I need to add that. And that's it. All you do is add. And that's the same way you'll add it just like that in a template version, and you can add it to in your file. So while you're in your file, this is where you will edit everything and move on with your paperwork. And then we'll go into Skyslope here. And I'll show you the same thing. Oh, there we go. Okay, so in Skyslope, I actually don't know if this agent has templates set up, but we're going to figure that out. So forms is the exact same system as transaction desk. What I love about forms is it's pretty simple. You know what? I don't think this agent has it set up. I work through a lot of agent backends, so bear with me here. Let's go into one that is set up. really quick. So what I like about Forms is it's just as simple. Forms also has a signing platform. So there's essentially 3 signing platforms you can have access to if you don't work within, and there's 2 alone within Skyslope. But if you don't work within Skyslope, you have Transaction Desk. And they made theirs a lot easier to work in, which has been super helpful on the regular. It used to be very complicated on the back end for your clients to sign, but I think they worked out the kinks. So we're just going to go into my forms. Like I said, I'm an automation queen. I like to have everything set up. So I'm going to laugh if I don't have templates set up for you guys. I definitely have this set up. Sorry about that. This is how you set up your forms, by the way. I'm not quite sure why mine's not set up at this time, but I use it all the time. All right. It still thinks I'm someone else. Forms does this. If you're a TC and you're working in other people's transactions, Skyslope doesn't recognize that you've logged out of multiple platforms. So just beware. Okay, we should be good now. We're not. Great. So we're just going to set up a template here. So we're going to go into templates right here. So what's great about Forms is it literally only gives you 2 options. You can only work in files and you can only work in templates. So when you're creating your template, we're going to go in here and we're just going to simply, it only gives us a few options and we're just going to simply go through that. What's great about Skyslope is that they do prompt you through everything. So there's a lot of material out there to help with training. So we're just going to create a really quick, let's do a seller one because it's a little more simple. Because this agent works through commercial, we'll use residential. Okay, so again, name your template, whatever you would like. And we're just going to, I'm going to quickly add a couple documents just so you can see what it looks like on the back end. I'm going to do the agency disclosure. All you do is add. So you can add multiple forms at once. It's almost like batching. Let's do, well, we're just going to add a couple of things here just so you can see it and be mindful of time. So once you've created that, the documents do populate here. You can again go into here to save what these documents should be saved as, and you can add the information in here. You can also move the documents around based on how you want them to populate and show up on your file folder form. So it's great to have that because then you can actually know 1, 2, 3, 4, which documents you're supposed to be filling out. Then you can save the template. You can modify the template at any point. You can create new templates. You can delete it. You can add forms, all of the above. That is also available to you. Okay, so before I move on, let me just check on my slide really quick. And then, perfect. So I'll ask you guys a couple things because I really want to tailor this to you. So when you're working on your transaction management systems as of right now, what are some questions that you might have that I can help you either with your automations, templates, if you just need some document help, whatever that looks like? What do you have for right now, if anything?
My main need in the last couple of years is I do everything on my laptop in Skyslope, but if I'm out showing a house and I didn't bring my laptop, I have no idea how to use my phone to edit an offer or to send it out for signatures. So is that the working documents app through Skyslope that I should play around with and use?
You can. that might not, let me try to think. So the working documents is typically for uploading a PDF version of something. So it's not really a working document. Are you able to use or bring along, say, an iPad?
Yeah, I have an iPad. I just don't have data on it, but I could,
Okay,
what is it called?
yeah.
Allow data onto it from my phone, hotspot.
Sure. Yeah, you could potentially use that. I know a lot of agents who are in a situation like that, they would have a TC, and typically they call their TC just to put that offer together for them. There are services that you could do that if that's just easier for you. A lot of times I work with agents that do that. But for you as an agent, obviously we want you to be able to have that resource as well. So I would try working on a bigger platform. I think my experience is tablets are more easily workable than your phone. And Skyslope app is, I wouldn't say as user friendly. So if you were to try it on your phone, maybe try working through the Skyslope online version versus the app.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that should be able to help. It'll be tiny, but it'll help.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Okay, does anyone have questions for before we move on to a lot of the transaction coordinating things and the resources? What do you guys have any questions on signing systems? How to send documents for signings, what platforms to use, anything like that? Excellent. I always say when working through this stuff, practice, practice, practice. If you're a new agent and you have no idea what the heck you're doing, or if you're just bored one day and you want to see if something works, I always say just send a document out, try it, send it to yourself. Create a document, send it to yourself for signing. It's important for you to know what it looks like on the receiving end as well, because if you're trying to give instructions to your client, just to be like, no, just click on it and just sign it. And they're like, I can't, you want to be able to troubleshoot for your clients as well. As a TC, I do that a lot, especially if different agents use different signing platforms. So every now and then I'll just make sure everything looks good and I make sure that everyone's copacetic with what it's coming and receiving as. So always practice, because the more you do it, the easier it's going to be. So maybe for you, Daniela, try using it on your phone in different platforms to see if it's going to work for an on-the-go type of way. If it's not, just give me a call. I'll help you.
One thing
Okay.
that I've struggled with, Gina, is like if I'm trying to write something like in a Binzer or something like that in Skyslope, sometimes I feel like it looks a little tacky.
Oh, okay.
I did mess with it one night and was able to figure out a better way that it copied onto the form more professionally. But what is your kind of go-to for just writing some narrative?
Like on a Binzer or anything like that?
Yeah, or like if you're doing a response on a Binzer or something like that.
Oh, I see.
More, I guess, the response.
Yeah. So typically there's a few platforms you can do it on. I mean, you're uploading the document into a platform to even add a text. So I've done Skyslope is a little hard. Like their signing system, their lines and their words aren't big enough to fit the lines sometimes. So you can either do it like one line at a time, which is super tedious. Another way you can do it is you can upload it. I think Transaction Desk might be a little more user friendly, but I actually use, interestingly enough, it's called, I think, Whiteout PDF or something. I can send it to you on a link. It's a platform that it's free if you use it once a day, but it's a platform that you can also pay for, that you can edit PDF documents either by digital whiteout or adding text. And what this platform does, I'll actually pull it up and share it in the chat. It's a little more user friendly on how big the font is, what the text box looks like, things like that. So that's what I will use as a TC for more long term.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's just a little hack I found. And sometimes your clients will, accidentally sign the third page of the HOA and you told them not to. And sometimes you just need to white it out. Okay, let me just put this in the chat for you guys. Perfect. All right, let's go into any other questions before I move on. You guys are asking great questions. Awesome. All right, so let's just go into, I guess, what a TC is and how to partner and all of the good jazz. Okay, so I'm super passionate about transaction coordinators and just what they can do for agents long term. I think a partnership is truly the best way to elevate your business. We're all here to grow, to learn, and to actually build strategic partnerships that are going to help you in the long run. And just knowing that you're helping, also working with a transaction coordinator. Transaction coordinator may be doing this as a full-time job, or they may be doing it as supplemental income, thinking and knowing that you're blessing somebody else, somebody that you know, like, and trust, that can go along with you in this real estate journey that you are thriving in, is super healthy. I've had incredible relationships in the past with agents over the years that I still get referrals from to this day. So it's been quite a journey. So what is a TC? And something to know is that we're not just an assistant. So TCs are contractors. They work with an agent as like within a working agreement. So if a TC is a solo agent working to build their own business, you're a contractor. You're essentially partnering yourself out to work together on something that is, it's a big thing, where transactions from start to close are a big process. You are an assistant. That is not the defining role, but a TC assists an agent to accomplish detailed tasks that are critical to the transaction process. So we are the subset. We are the person that is made to make agents look better overall. You're an organizer. If you are a TC, or you're thinking about being one, or whatever that looks like, even as an agent, be organized, or allow your TC to be the organizer. We're all kind of type A in the sense that we like to have our little systems. I work out of three things. I work out of a notebook, my file folder, and my computer. And I just take those things everywhere with me. And that's all I need, other than a planner. But we all work on planners. I'm the crazy person that writes in a planner and at my phone at the same time. More is better. But that's what makes me a very organized TC and agent. So also, we're communicators. We want to make sure that you are being successful within your daily workflow as well. And then we are the closer. We're the person that you trust us to close out the file, whether that's arranging for signings, making sure everything's lined up, that the bins or repairs get done, is the appraisal process completed. Everything doesn't have to be on your shoulders as an agent. You can share that with somebody. Another little tidbit. So TC services do range in different ways. A lot of agents sometimes don't even realize everything that a TC can do for them. So that's why it's important for me to help you know what a TC can do, so that you can find the right partner to TC with and to partner with in the future. So buyer transactions, seller transactions are your most common. Buyer, we can include rental in there too. Rental files are super small. So if you have your TC working on a rental file, shame on you. They're really easy, and obviously you're not getting paid a tremendous amount, but it's still important to know. And as TCs, we know what they look like. But buyer transactions, we're working with your agents on all your purchase documents or rental docs from start to close. We're consistent with the communication and key date reminders. I find that that's the most feedback that I get from agents, is I just want to be reminded of what I'm doing and when. Some agents are more aloof than others, which always worries me, but some are usually on top of it and will take the reins in their own control. But as a TC, it's peace of mind for me to be like, I reminded them, I did that. Because then we know that you had that extra safety net as an agent. Seller transactions, to me, I always consider seller transactions as a two-part process. You have your listing documents in your listing file. And then you have your actual escrow process. So the escrow process isn't too drastically different in terms of paperwork and what needs to happen as with the buyer transactions. However, we have the extra step of helping you get your listings processed and set up and ready to go. So I'll work with a lot of agents on their listing documents and making sure everything is dialed in as their TC. Additional services. This is where I think a lot of people, agents, everybody, brokers, maybe don't even realize that an agent, TC can do so much more. If you are a licensed professional, that gives you more leeway into doing and adding a lot more to your plate, either as the business professional or as the TC. So you can be a showing assistant, you can provide closing gifts for clients, open houses, things like that. So when we're licensed, I can say, oh, I can totally open a door for you. It's $50 a door. Let's go in and I'll just open that for you. And that's an additional service that we can add, because if you're an agent working with multiple clients, especially over the last 2 years, it was wild. And it's a little more quiet now, but if you're in homes and you're having a whole full showing day, but you have another client that called on a Saturday while you're out all day and wants to see a house immediately, ask and see if your TC or another agent in your area can help with that. But TCs that are licensed are usually more than happy to do that if they are local. Closing gifts, like I said, they're super fun to make, and some people are creative and they want to do that. And if that's a service you want your TC to help provide and they love to do it, more power to them, have them do it. And then open houses, that's something a lot of agents don't realize that can be a resource, is if you have a licensed TC in the area and say they like to have open houses, they're not there to collect, necessarily business for themselves, but if they can be a resource to actually hold that open for you, that's a great resource, because you're already partners. If they get business through you sitting there as the TC, then they get business. So it's really a mutually beneficial time to use that resource. Okay, so something that I always get, just a question that is always asked, who can TC? So it's pretty much any license. I put unlicensed in parentheses. That is a very loose thing that we can even go into, but any licensed individual who's organized, an excellent communicator, self-starter, and desires to really work anywhere they would like. I am multifaceted as a TC, and I encourage other TCs to do the same, work from home, but also work out, go into different co-working spaces, try to find your brokerage or connect with other agents, go into coffee shops. The more you're out there, the more your life seems to be on just like a repeat loop, and it keeps you more engaged with what's going on in everyone's life. But you can be a part-time agent. So maybe you want to add transaction coordinating to your tool belt. I know Lynn is doing that with me. And that's really exciting, because then you want to make more money while you're already in the same field. But if it's something that you enjoy doing and you don't want to go outside of that and get a part-time job elsewhere, and you could fill that need with being a transaction coordinator, that's something that I preach on. I say do it, because it's only going to make you a better agent. And it's not something that has to be long-term if you decide to grow your real estate business. I always recommend that new agents maybe think about joining in on transaction coordinating, because it truly propels you into the world of actually figuring out the transaction flow, documents, things like that. Connects you really well too with your brokers, because your brokers are a wealth of knowledge. And as a TC, we want to know more and more and more so that we can be better as the professional and the partner that you need us to be. You could be a real estate team leader. So a lot of these are my own examples. So I've done it part-time, full-time as a new agent, and I've done it as a team lead. I had a full team of about 6 agents at my previous brokerage, and I was the team lead. I TC'd. Funny enough, I didn't TC necessarily for my team, but I was still in that capacity that I could do that. I have a lot of stay-at-home moms that want to be a TC, because they can still work and have their own office hours while still being present with their family. And then some people just want to be TCs, and that's what they want to hone in on. And I say more power to you, do it up. I have a lot of agents that will not even agents, TCs that will actually create their own full business. A lot of these agents choose to be unlicensed because then they can TC for people and individuals like agents outside of Arizona and all across the US. So that is why I say unlicensed can have its small benefit if you decide to build a business at that capacity. Not every state requires you to be licensed as a TC. Arizona recommends it. And a little point here, just a little talking point, just to show you what the value of a TC is to an agent. The value, I always say there's actual monetary value. So the actual truly is peace of mind, quality of life, buyback time. It's a business relationship. You're able to build personal trust within your profession, and TCs allow you to look really good for everybody. So whether that's everybody involving in your transaction and even your clients, just knowing that you have that person you can lean on is going to make you look a lot better, more professional and put together. Monetary value. So Hannah mentioned she was cheap. She didn't want to pay a TC, but let's consider the big picture here. TC fees range typically between $350 and $700. I've seen some TCs charge more than $700, and I think they're crazy, but that's just me, and I'm a TC. But we probably spend on average, if you are not newer, but you're a little more experienced, this is my example, my breakdown, between 20 and 30 hours on a particular file. Again, depends on the file, depends on how many extensions I got, what's going on in this file, what's good, you know, how needy is it? But for my base, my lowest of the low, I charge $400 per transaction. And I will typically spend 20, 25 hours on a file. And that only equates to about $16 an hour. So you're paying somebody part-time from a commission that you're making significantly more than what they are going to be making on the back end. So those 25 hours are valuable time for an agent to spend on their actual business and less time on fooling around with the paperwork. So it's definitely money well spent, and you're supporting another partner that could really utilize that income or really enjoys doing it. And we're gonna just try to wrap it up a little bit. Again, I want to make sure that you guys have some time to ask some questions. So the TC business building aspect is if this is something you're interested in, or if this is something you're interested in connecting with other TCs. I've trained probably a dozen TCs this year alone, and I've been teaching on business building and transaction management processes for agents since January of this year. It's almost a year. And so something that I always say, if you want to book a discovery call to find out if transaction coordinating is something you want to implement into your business, or finding out if you want to connect with a list of TCs that you work with, brokers will have a list like that. Some brokers will have a TC on their team. And also it's your choice. Who you partner with is entirely your choice. So you can work with whoever you want. Find out if that's something you want to do in your business. I'm here for that. And then signing up for my course. So just a brief overview of what I offer, because I mentioned that I do offer programs for agents, whether that's mentoring or assistance, essentially. I do that for agents and TCs. So my course is a self-paced course. It's really good for new agents, and it's really, so if you know a new agent that you're either bringing into the sphere or whatever that looks like, it's a really good tool for agents to learn about how to go through their management system. And it's a good tool for transaction coordinators to step into that space and actually learn how to build that business. So it's all self-paced. We go through everything from mindset to marketing strategies to systems and how you can thrive, whether that is paper or digital. And we also provide the element of community. I think sometimes real estate can be a lonely world, and it doesn't matter how big the brokerage is, but if you're not connecting with the right people, professionals, partners, whatever that looks like, it can be lonely. And I'm very intentional about connecting people with the right resources and the right contractors, whoever you need to really help your business thrive. But most important takeaway for what I'm trying to even speak on is try to automate all of the systems that you can. And we had talked a lot about that. Automate your systems, try to create email templates, whatever that is. Try to make everything set up so that when you're ready to rock and roll in any sense as an agent or as a TC, you're dialed in and you are ready to go, because then you can leave those big in-depth questions top of mind, and then you can know those little things how are already working themselves out. So, any questions on that and the overall picture? Does anyone have any pain points like within their transactions that I could assist with or even provide information on?
Hi, Gina. No pain points, but just curious. I'm guessing you're going to email those documents that you said you could share. Will you also be emailing information on this live e-course at that time, or should we grab this now, I guess?
Both. I will do both for you, but I do have the information here too for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. A lot of my templates too that I share are a part of my e-course, but like I said, I'm an oversharer and kind of an open book. So I'm going to email you guys all of the checklists and the workflows that I have from today. Anything else? If I were to even create like a follow-up course to this, what is something that you would want to learn more about, dive into more, become more of an expert in? Is there a space that I could help you grow together?
This to me was super helpful. And I'll probably, once I get using the templates, may potentially have more questions, because right now I'm driving myself crazy because I'm doing my own real estate work and I'm TCing for a pretty busy agent. And I just feel like I have notes everywhere and it's driving me crazy. So I really love the templates, and I'm sure that'll, prompt more questions.
Awesome.
Yeah, this is awesome, Gina.
Thank you.
This was very, very helpful.
Thanks, Dana.
I'll be connecting with you about using you as a TC. I think you kind of sold me.
Amazing. Yeah. So, and for those of you who aren't at the firm, Gina is our TC at the firm. So we have an in-house, TC packages through the firm. So she's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, I think the only thing that I just preach on as much as I possibly can, we can only keep getting better. So if you're not asking the questions and you're not diving into these little spaces, we can't actually improve. So I'd love to be a part of you becoming a little bit better every day.
Well, I took a screenshot of everyone that was in the class today. So we will did all of you RSVP to the class? So we have your emails?
Yes.
Okay.
Good. So
Perfect. Perfect. So we will get that information over to you, and then we'll hopefully see you at the next class that we do.
Perfect. Thank you guys for showing up. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for
Thank you.
teaching.
thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you.
Have a good
Bye-bye.
day.